Hey there, today I'm going to be talking about, well, Dormammu, a character that changes a lot of the aspects of the game as we know it. My name is Nate, and welcome to the Gamers Guild. I am skipping over a couple of reviews to jump into this one, but let's be honest, Dormammu deserves it because he is getting plenty of love and hate, and I hope to be able to break down why. But before I talk about it, I want to go ahead and talk about the guild sponsor, Tritex Games. They have some great prices for all of your MCP products in general, but their pre-order prices are where it's really at, as they take 20% off of retail, and then you can use the code TritexGGCP5 at checkout for an additional 5% off for a total of 25% off, which is awesome, especially when you see the price tag that Dormammu comes with. As well, thanks to Tritex, I'm able to do a monthly giveaway, including one that will happen at the end of this video. While it is too late to enter for this drawing, if you want to enter for this month's and any other month going forward, all you need to do is be subscribed to the channel and comment on one of the Marvel Crisis Protocol videos that is released that month to enter. And you can enter up to one time per video. So let's talk about now the biggest bad guy, both in actual size and innate threat value we have seen hit the table so far, or are about to see hit the table, however you want to look at it. Depends on when you're watching this video, I guess. Anyway, Dormammu has no need for an alter ego, because why would you when you are the Lord of Darkness? Dormammu has 10 stamina, moves medium on a 65mm base, is size frickin' 5 for a whopping 8 threat. To help reflect that staggering cost, he does thankfully have some decent numbers on his defense values, with 4 physical and energy defense and 5 mystic. And while these numbers are definitely above average, he doesn't have any defensive dice modification abilities to keep him healthy, so you'll be relying on his large health pool to tank some damage. And because nothing else on his card is normal, why would his attacks be? Shadow Bolt has a range of 4, strength of 6 for 0 power. If you roll a wild, you will both hex the opponent after the attack, and you will sap a power for each wild in the roll before damage is dealt. So, like Hulk, Dormammu's builder doesn't generate him power through the conventional means, which is unfortunate, but the ability to sap power does certainly help some there. And being able to hex your opponents is always nice. His other attack is Incantation of Obliteration. That has a range of 3, strength of 8 for 5 power. Not the best rate out there, but if you get a touch of luck on a dice roll, it becomes well worth that 5 power. If you manage to roll a crit, hit, block, and failure, the attack gains Dark Miasma. It allows Dormammu to make another incantation attack against another character that is within range 2, as long as that target has not been the target of another Incantation of Obliteration attack this round. So again, I don't know the odds of chaining these attacks, but this is not like Quicksilver, who can theoretically go infinite. But this can chain to several enemy characters as long as they are all within range 3 of Dormammu and 2 of the most recent target. And while it won't always be able to happen, being able to add some extra dice to Dormammu's attacks is a great way to get that chain in motion. But more on that later. Now we get to talk about a literal game-changing leadership ability. Usually I wait to the end to talk about this, but it shapes Dormammu's character and what he does so much that I think I need to go over it now. The Dark Dimension affiliation leadership that Dormammu comes with is Flames of the Faltine. It says if Dormammu is included in a squad, that squad is affiliated with Dark Dimension and must use this leadership ability. This character and each other character you control gains 1 additional power during the power phase. And during the power phase, if another allied character has 6 or more power, it suffers 1 damage. So as soon as Dormammu hits the table, your team is instantly affiliated with the Dark Dimension, and you have to use the Flames of Faltine leadership. Notably, this doesn't make characters like Valkyrie, Ghost Spider, and Star-Lord members of the affiliation, but the squad as a whole becomes affiliated. So if we see a tactic card that says Dark Dimension character in bold print, they would not get to play those tactic cards. But this does mean that anyone can suddenly join up with Dormammu. And that also means Dormammu can't join any other affiliation to enjoy leadership abilities, because he would just overrule them. Then you know there is, of course, this extremely powerful other bit where all of your characters gain 1 extra power during the power phase, but at a cost. If you have a character with 6 or more power, they will take a damage during the power phase. While it is a reasonable trade-off and keeps this leadership more and more thematic, it can be detrimental because, just like with the Cosmic Cubes, if you daze during the power phase, you are down that character's activation for that entire round, which, if your opponent times correctly and does just enough damage, can be a really big hit to your team. But most of the time, he will just fuel your entire team, and it can be anyone who benefits from the extra power. You don't have to worry about the affiliated characters when you're trying to piece together your roster. Now, Dormammu also has a slew of powers to back him up. First up is his active, Not of This Dimension. It costs 3 power and allows him to place himself within range 2 of his current position. Thankfully, this is also limited to once per turn, but giving him some extra mobility is fantastic. His reactive power, Feel the Power of Darkness, only costs 2 and can be used after an attack targeting him has been resolved. The attacker is pushed away short and is then hexed, and if they are already hexed, they are incinerated instead. So not only is this some great repositioning tech against your opponents, it can also be some great defensive tech to push the enemy out of range so they can't easily double tap into Dormammu. And finally, his innate power is where things just become really unique. Master of the Realm of Darkness says, when this character suffers damage from an enemy effect, it gains 1 power instead of power equal to the damage suffered. However, when another allied character is damaged by an enemy effect or by Flames of Faltine, this character gains 1 power. Additionally, when calculating successes or failures of this character's attacks, this character adds the number of skulls in both the attack and defense rolls to its total successes. So on the bright side, he is basically immune to stun. On the downside, he is kind of always stunned and won't be swimming in power despite his large health pool. But as long as the rest of your team is threatening, he will probably be fed some power over the course of a turn, and the other notable thing is that Dormammu is going to hit like a truck. Not only will he be benefiting from the skulls that he rolls, but also your opponent's skulls and their defense rolls. Now, notably, the skull in your opponent's roll only counts towards your total successes and won't help your Dark Miasma trigger, but still Dormammu will be crushing things pretty well when he goes on the offensive. And finally, Dormammu has flight for some reason, as he's already size 5 and moving medium, but whatever. As well, he's immune to bleed, incinerate, and stagger. And before I dive into all of the good, the bad, and the combos, it is worth mentioning that he goes up to 12 stamina on his injured side, putting him above the Hulks in total stamina. And now, since I hardly know where to begin, I'm going to talk about him in the order of the good, the bad, and the combos, I guess, because it sounds fun. So, well, Dormammu is a really game-warping piece. Starting with his leadership ability, it really does 2 absolutely nutty things. First, it allows for some crazy squad building. So you can run a best hits list of characters who need more power, like Miles and Lizard, or you can bring in characters who can spend power quickly, like Valkyrie and Enchantress. And most of the time, there isn't going to be a wrong answer for whoever you want to bring in. Secondly, an extra power across your entire team opens up an absurd number of turn 1 plays that previously didn't exist, or only existed in a very limited fashion. I don't want to list that many examples or anything, because there are simply too many, especially if you start considering what Wong or Advanced R&D could additionally enable. Aside from his insane leadership, Dormammu offers up 2 things really. Some really great damage output, and a whole lot of health for your opponent to have to get through. His innate power getting to count skulls in both rolls can really help push through damage, and with his ease of access to Hex and Incinerate, your enemies won't have a lot going for them in the defense department. His range 2 place giving him some extra mobility is something needed on an 8 threat character. But even when he does have to move, he can pretty easily traverse the board at the speed of what Ghost Rider is most often doing. And finally, his reactive power feels like something out of an Ultimate Encounter boss, not a normal playing piece. Now, all of this good comes with a cost, and that cost is 8 threat for one character with only 2 actions. That could very easily be Valkyrie, Kraven, and Toad, or Medusa and Vision, and so on. 8 threat is a lot, and more often than not, it's about half of your roster put into one character, and he only has those 2 actions. He has things to offset those limits, like the place effect superpower and some really hard-hitting attacks, but his inability to throw terrain or reposition enemies on his terms is a bit unfortunate. And my final nitpick is his lack of defensive tech. No rerolls, damage reduction, count blanks, etc. mean that if a character like Valkyrie can get a piece of terrain behind her so that she can't be pushed away with Feel the Power of Darkness, Dormammu is going to be in a bit of a bad time. He basically has the Hulk problem, but to a lesser extent because he can at least daze. His defense dice are above average, but I would have personally much rather seen Thanos' defensive stat line with his damage reduction power, because dice can and will fail you, especially the defensive ones. Now, all of these criticisms may be quelled when we see the tactic cards that Dormammu is bringing with him, but right now these are his only downsides, and even they aren't all bad because he does have some defensive tech, which is also repositioning tech, and his attacks can chain to daze multiple enemies. But now, to kind of show some of those crazy things that he can do, let's talk about some of his combo potential as something you can try, but also as something to be aware of if you see Dormammu across the table from you. Because really, if you aren't prepared for Dormammu, the things that he can be doing are terrifying. First are a couple of tactic cards that may have some dust on them that are worth taking a second look at for him. Smash and Battle Lust. Smash coming from the core set, and Battle Lust coming with Killmonger and Black Panther. These are both great cards because they deal with the size of your character, and Dormammu is size 5. So getting to smash a terrain feature of size 3 or 4, and then getting that many dice on the rest of his attacks for that turn for just 2 power is absurd. Especially if you have 5 extra power sitting there for incantation, because with 12 dice your odds go up quite a bit for getting all the symbols you were looking for, and then the next one gets 12 dice, and you get it. Battle Lust is similar, but costs a whole lot more power. But even then, when you have the chance for a range 4 11 dice attack, it should be enough to finish off any worn down character, if not outright finish off a fully healthy enemy. The last tip or warning I will leave you with is to watch out for the Citizens Panic Crisis. It is already on the restricted list, so you should have at least one eye on it anyways, but with Dormammu being able to move twice and reach the other side's citizen, and then him giving the rest of his team extra power, so characters like Iron Fist and Valkyrie can quickly generate enough power to rescue civilians, which is extremely powerful. But like any other opening play, there are counters, thankfully. If you see your opponent bring Panic's Grip and Dormammu, make sure you line up a control piece that can pull him into your team so that you can punish the greedy play. Enchantress, Mystique, Ghost Spider, Thanos, and others thankfully don't care about his massive size when repositioning the enemy. So use these kinds of characters to pull Dormammu in so you can get an early daze on him. So those are my thoughts on MCP's latest big bad character. Let me know what characters will be doing the Dark Lord's bidding in your rosters down below, and if you do, it will enter you into the drawing for this month's giveaway. And speaking of, let's go ahead and draw this month's winner as I send it over to myself in the future. Alright, here we are with July's comments and videos loaded up, and Troy Golick. You're right, this game really does have a great community. I will need to figure out what video that goes to, but congratulations, Troy. I will be reaching out shortly. Congratulations to the winner, and thank you for participating. And with the drawing over, that is everything I have for today. I want to say thank you to all the members of the Guild Hall who are supporting what I'm doing with the channel. There are always more and more things that are coming up and getting to do, and now NashCon is just around the corner, and I'm so excited to get to meet more people playing this game that I've been interacting with online. So if you're in the Nashville area, feel free to come check it out to get a couple of games in. I'm really excited. As well, if you are interested in supporting the channel, check out the links down in the description for both the Guild's Patreon page and Tritex Games page, where you can use that discount code to let them know I sent you their way. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, keep on gaming.